PK52, the Saturday morning meeting. So I promised some people this week that I was going to do a little bit of introduction of the 2019 Avalon, but I think I want to take a few weeks and do just a little bit more research so I can find some down and dirty dirt of what they've really done to that car. Because you know, as we start doing some merging and some conglomerations with other manufacturers like Supra with BMW, I want to make sure that if we're doing any kind of new technology or trying anything new, that you guys are the first ones to know. So give me a couple of weeks on Avalon. Let me double check some of my facts, make sure that I'm right, because you know, we don't want to start out with the wrong information. So let's go back to core things that people are most interested in. And a lot of times when I try to sell a car to a customer or try to give somebody a description of a car, instead of talking about the car, what I do is I try to talk about the situation. Who's going to be driving the car? Where is the car going to be driven? What are the conditions? And I guess the most important question in the world is, can other people around you drive? Let me answer that one right now, because I know you already answered in your mind. The answer is no. They're distracted, they're on their cell phone, they're texting, they're drinking a cup of coffee, they're putting their makeup on. I mean, went by a guy the other day, he was shaving. So, you know, we stay in bed for an extra 30 minutes and take care of all of our grooming as we're heading to work in the morning, which I guess would be okay if you were the only one doing that. But when the majority of the population of the world is really distracted while driving these massively powerful cars that are made out of steel and composite materials like carbon fiber, I really don't want to get run over by one of those. So let's talk about safety. And let's put a parameter together. I'm buying a car, my whole family's going to drive the car, so keys are in a common area. My young daughter's going to drive the car, my son's going to drive the car, there's going to be the neighbor's kids, you know, my son's baseball team is going to be stacked up in the car. What is the car going to do for my family? I mean, that is such a great question. Not is, you know, can I open the hood and there's going to be a giant engine, is the stereo or the infotainment system fantastic, is the car, the paint really beautiful, are the wheels awesome? What is the car going to do to enhance the ability of the driver? And this week we're going to talk about, back a few years ago, still relevant, but anything you sell, whether it's new or pre-owned, still has basis in the STAR safety system. And if you don't learn anything about Toyota, learn the basics of safety. What if the car made you not have an accident? I remember when I first started selling Toyotas, you know, we didn't have airbags. Chrysler was the first car company that came out with airbags, and their airbags weren't great. You'd be in a parking lot, you'd hit a speed bump, airbag would deploy. How shocking is that? You're driving 5 miles an hour, going to buy groceries, and the airbag blows your face back into the headrest. Or the static electricity from your body going through the key into the ignition tumbler deployed the airbag. So, you know, customers would come in and go, man, I really want to get a car with an airbag. And I was going, you know, good luck. Let me Velcro a sofa cushion on your steering wheel. I think that would be safer. But as every car company got airbags, we would tell people how safe airbags are. I don't know. Do you know anybody that's been impacted by an airbag? You know, did they come out injury-free? I mean, an airbag is a last resort from traumatic injury. You know, your seat belt with pretensioners and force limiters, that's your first stage. Then the airbag would be a supplementary system. I don't ever want to see an airbag. I've seen airbags with perfectly encased lipstick on the airbag. That means that somebody's face took a pretty gigantic hit with an airbag. So let's get away from the airbag and hope we never see one in our entire life. And let's look at what the car can actually do. The first thing we have is ABS. Throughout our lineup now, for many, many years, we use a 4-channel ABS. And I'm going to break everything down so super simple that every customer can understand it. That means every single brake on the car, front 2 brakes, rear brakes on the car, all have their own actuator. If I'm driving down the road and it's bad road conditions and the gravel part of the road, the snow has been pushed to the side during the winter, and my right 2 wheels are on the snow, when I hammer the brakes to stop in a panic situation, The two left wheels are still going to be on the asphalt, and they really have the ability to stop the car as fast as it can stop. The two right wheels are on a slushy, loose consistency. If those wheels lock up, well, then the car is going to camber, or it's going to spin, or I'm going to lose control of the car. So the right two wheels would be modulating, while the left two wheels would be stopping at the maximum ability to stop the car. So the car would stop in a straight line, or you could actually steer the car under heavy duress of braking. So what that does is it enables the driver to have more control over the car, and the car to be manipulated under heavy braking. No slipping, no sliding, no losing control of the car. That is the simplest way you can explain that. Because of that unbelievable ABS system, we also have electronic brake force distribution. Very easy to describe that, just back up the words. Electronically, it distributes the brake force. Majority of braking is always going to be in the front of the car. When you hammer the brakes, the inertia is going to go to the front tire. So it's going to lean the car this way. You know, the back wheels can be lifted so much that there's very little traction applied by the back wheels. But what happens in a truck or a Sienna, when I really load the back of the van? I loaded all the coolers in there for the soccer match, got my Capri Suns in there, I've loaded all the equipment in there, the extra stuff for the game, and then I got that giant big duffel bag on the luggage rack on the back of the vehicle. So physically I've changed the weight dynamics of this vehicle. It's not the same as it was when it was sitting in my driveway this morning. Then I load up every single passenger I could put in there. I got 7 people in there. Got 2 adults in the front, 5 kids, and we're heading for the soccer match. The dynamics of this van have completely changed. What the computer does on board through wheel speed sensor is measures where the weight would be in the van and change the braking prowess percentage from front to rear based upon the weight of the van. Obviously, I've got more ability to stop with the rear wheels now because I've put a load on the rear wheels. It can go front to back. Real simply, worst place in the world to put your brakes on is in a turn. You hammer the brakes in a turn, the car immediately wants to go straight. So let me say that again. If you're in a sweeping turn and you lock the brakes up, that car is not going to turn anymore no matter what you're doing with the steering wheel. It wants to go straight. So ABS enables the wheels not to lock up so that you can still turn, but the electronic brake force distribution has the ability to laterally distribute the brake force. So from side to side. Obviously in a turn, the weight on the outside wheels is going to be greater than the weight on the inside wheels. You've seen videos before where cars are turning so hard to the left that it lifted the inside wheels off the ground because of body roll. Well, the computer can sense that and give you a little bit more braking to the outside. So anybody putting passengers in any Toyota they buy need to understand that we're building in the dynamics of the brake system to make their car safer. And I know I'm being very simplistic with this, but sometimes that's all it takes. Brake assist, simple. We want braking to be at 100%. If there's a panic strike, a rapid strike, or you need to stop the car by depressing the brakes as quickly as you possibly can, the computer senses the brake strike. I'll give you a couple examples, and I hope these will be funny to you. I watch kids drive in today's world, and they got the seat so far back and the back of the seat so tilted into the back seat that they are cool as that is the coolest looking driver ever. You see the top of their head and their wrist over the top of the steering wheel. That right there is, I mean, there is no denial. You have raised the level of your coolness to the exponential degree. When you come up, everybody grabs their heart and goes, oh my God, that's the coolest person ever. But you're so far away from the brake, you can't stop the car. You can be cool and safe too. If you can strike that brake pedal with intent, a rapid strike, the computer in any Toyota will sense your intention to stop that car immediately, and even though you didn't depress the brake all the way to the floor like you should have, the computer will take over and give you 100% brake efficiency. I mean, that's a good story. Some of y'all know about my father, you know, and I always use my father as an example because people are driving later in their years. I mean, if you have the ability to get in a car and drive and you're 95 years old, you're going. And my dad was going to go. He had his routine every day, and he got in his car and he ran 19 miles an hour down the highway, and he was that one guy that you guys all went, why is this guy still driving? That was my dad. My dad's legs got so skinny when he was young. I mean, he was a pretty big man when I was growing up. You know how you look up to your father? I mean, he was, well over 200 pounds and, an oil field guy. And he just always try to do these videos at one take for you guys because I want to make it as realistic as possible, an actual conversation with you instead of somebody trying to edit something and make it perfect. So when I stumble on my words or the camera cuts off like it just did, I think it makes it even more real. So we were talking about electronic brake force distribution, then we went into vehicle stability control. So just kind of to dovetail back where we were. If you're going too fast into a corner, the car wants to go straight. If somehow the wheels lock up, you will completely lose steering and you'll go into the guardrail, understeer or pushing in the car. Again, the wheel speed sensors and your steering wheel position let the computer know that you've made a mistake. And then automatically you've corrected it. Let's go back to the example of the kids. Your son's driving the car, there's 3 other people in the car, they got the music blaring, they're laughing, they're having the best time of their life. Somebody looks up and goes, hey, you're missing your turn. And they whip into that turn. That is tragedy right there. That right there could end very badly. The great thing about the Corolla that you just added to the family, the Camry, the RAV4, the 4Runner, is that vehicle stability control can change the outcome of that dynamic because it'll slow the speed of this engine down and apply the appropriate wheels. If you apply the brakes to the appropriate wheels, it creates a hooking of the car. So the brakes would be applied to hook the car to where the steering wheel was pointed. So, I mean, miraculously, this happens. I got lucky enough to be able to go onto a track, and they set up dynamics for us to test this, and it was infallible. I mean, you just really, if you could put the steering wheel where you wanted to go, the car went there every single time. Unbelievable. I think we get so jaded in driving these cars, we forget. I mean, this is the funny thing. We think we're really good drivers. We're going like, baby, I can really drive a car. It's not you, man. It's the car. If you drove an old school car that didn't have this from Toyota, you probably wrecked the car on the way to work the first morning. Unbelievable how great this technology is. In an icy situation, black ice or something, where the rear end tries to pass the front end, well, there's yaw and roll rate sensor. Yaw is how the car moves like this. If that car yaws and it knows that you didn't mean to yaw, then the brakes can be applied to bring that car back into position, and that's oversteer. So understeer and oversteer, things that we don't even think about anymore, so we're so involved in this technology that the cars actually control our ridiculously bad driving, or the bad driving of the guy that just cut us off in the lane because we were shaving or putting our makeup on, or, man, I had to respond to that text and everything. Why is that guy coming in my lane? This is stupid. Car saved me. I guess the last thing and the most important thing is all of this stuff works within the brakes and traction control. And we never really think about it. We get out and we drive on a very icy morning or a morning where it's really slick outside. It's at that new rain where the oil comes up through the road. And we just accelerate the car and we go to work and we never think anything about it. Without that traction control, we would have lost traction a few times. We wouldn't have been able to get out of our neighborhood when it was snow locked. We'd have got stuck in the sand on the beach. And so all of this encapsulates making everybody in your family a better driver. I honestly believe when you have a story about the technology, no matter what level of kind of an engineering mind that somebody has, whether they really don't understand how a car works at all, if you can put it in a story that relates to the way they drive in their life, then there's value in product knowledge. Because the bigger you make it, the bigger it is. This has been PK52, the Saturday morning meeting, getting back into recent year basic Toyota safety.